In 2020, just as the UK's lockdown for COVID-19 began, Susanna Cruikshank's Swimming Wild in the Lake District was published. Susanna is an outdoor swimming guide based in the lakes and offers bespoke experiences all year round. I'll put a link to her website, Susanna Swims, in the description below. Susanna's book documents the 14 largest lakes and waters in the Lake District, with tips on how to get there, where to swim from, and afterwards where to eat. I decided to make this compilation showing my experiences of each of these 14 bodies of water and what I enjoyed, or not enjoyed, about each swim. I've swam in Bassenthwaite twice now. The second was for my Christmas swim of 2021. It was a glorious morning after a drive of constant fog. The sun burned off the mist and a beautiful still lake stood before us, bathed in golden light. The water was the coldest I'd swam in, at around 5 degrees. It was a wonderful swim, if a bit shallow from Blackstock Point. Derwent Water is one of my favourite lakes and was my first wild swim back in 2016. I revisited in 2022. This swim was bittersweet as it was Riley's last trip to the Lake District. The beach, a little before Calf Close Bay, was a wonderful entrance to the water, no climbing and slipping over rocks, and with Castle Crag and Capbells before me, was a pleasant swim. I definitely recommend this spot for a dip. I almost lost my GoPro in Ullswater the first time I swam here in 2016. Luckily I didn't, but not having a great swim I always wanted to go back. Using Susanna's book I found a better entrance point, Glencoyne Bay. On this cold March day in 2022 I joined in with a flock of swans who were more curious about me than aggressive. It was one of my favourite swims, such a wonderful experience swimming with swans. Water swans. Brothers Water is one of the most accessible lakes, having a miles without stiles route. Again I swam in this lake in 2016 as a newbie and revisited in 2022, somewhat more experienced. The second time was a good swim in gorgeous weather. Susanna's beach suggestion is a perfect way to access the water. Grasmere, Rydal Water and Loughrigg Terrace make for a great day out. I accessed Grasmere via the contested White Moss car park, though I haven't had any issues. I swam from the eastern shore, which was a nice entrance into the water, I would definitely recommend, but can be a difficult terrain for wheelchair users. Rydal Water is a beautiful lake to visit. I can see why the poet William Wordsworth moved here in his golden years. Always a good swim. My Halloween visit in 2022 was atmospheric, with a lovely walk through a wood before getting to the Rydal Oak. From here it was a gentle entrance into the water, with the lush nab scar dominating the scenery. Now comes a short selection of not so great swims. Well, according to me anyway. I visited Elter Water after a long walk to Stickle Tarn. On the way down, I slipped and fell in Stickle Gill and injured my wrist. I decided to start my swim to Elter Water from the river Vertebrae, but it was against the current and it took me ages to get to the lake. Then the lake bed is very marshy, which is off-putting, and being tired and in pain, I cut the swim short. Perhaps I should revisit. You mention the Lake District and people instantly think of Windermere. Not my favourite lake, but the view of the Langdales from the eastern shore is captivating. We parked at Rayrig Meadow Car Park and took a 5-minute walk to the shore. It was a choppy swim for me, but I was glad to have bagged the swim, and on a calm, sunny day it would make for a good dip. I may revisit in future. I visited Coniston just after lockdown number 1 had ended, when everyone swarmed to the Lake District. We arrived at Brown Howe Car Park at 9 AM and were lucky to bag a space. The place was already heaving with people swimming and in canoes. It was nice to see so many families enjoying the water, but I don't like swimming when it's busy. However, I just had to wade in if I was to say I'd swam in Coniston, so I did. The water was rather shallow, and as I hadn't swam for 6 months, I didn't want to stray too far. Coniston would be best enjoyed out of season, I think. The biggest lake or the largest tarn, that is the question for Devoke Water. In a rather remote area of the Western Fells, it feels very desolate here, though I can imagine on a beautiful warm summer's day the water and swim would be very different. But I had a nice time at Devoke all the same. I had a little boogie on shore before entering chilly wind-swept waters. I swam from the boathouse, a very scenic backdrop. I don't know how many times I've visited Wast Water, but every visit has been different. As a swimmer, I've always wanted to swim before the Scafell Massive. Thanks to Susanna's book, we parked at Overbeck Bridge car park, donated for parking and walked across the road towards the shingle beach and a cold 7-degree swim. The sun was out, but the wind was biting. The view of the Scafells and Great Gable were impressive. The deepest and cleanest lake in England is something to cherish and hopefully maintain for future generations. Be aware of biosecurity. Another of my favourite lakes, Buttermere never disappoints. One of the only 3 pristine lakes in the Lake District. There are many different facets to Buttermere swims. We always park in the National Trust car park past the Bridge Hotel in the village, but it can be very busy of a summer. My favourite swim here was and will always be in October 2020, when the weather was warm like summer, the sun was shining and the water like glass. Oh, and Riley had a blast of a day. Buttermere will always be a beautiful, happy memory. Sister lake to Buttermere, and another pristine lake, Crummock Water, is always less populated than its busier counterpart. It always seems to be windy when I swim in Crummock, and when it's like glass, I don't swim in it. I've swam from Hawes Point and Lanthwaite Wood, and both are very scenic. Lanthwaite would have been fantastic if it wasn't for the wind bearing down from the north, a lake that would benefit from several visits, I think. Loweswater or Loweswater can get reedy and suffer from blue-green algae in summer, but of a winter it is a glorious swim, come rain or shine. The view of Grasmere at the east end is stunning, and the walk through Home Wood towards the shore past the bothy is soul nourishing. My swim in 2022 on a cold, wet March day was exhilarating, and I loved every moment. What is your favourite swim in the Lake District? Have you read Susanna Cruikshank's book? Thanks for watching.